What's up, Blade fam? So we're here today at this tiny little bubble park. We found this place thanks to my homie Trevor Banks. He took the time to go through our town on Google Maps and zoom in on that little map and find all of these random skate spots, from street to parks that we've never heard of. I've lived here in Colorado Springs for 15 years and I have never been to this place, so big shout out to that guy, man. It's really cool that he set that up. So what are we doing today? We're going to be covering top soles today, specifically top soles on ledges. You know, that sharp edge. I already did a top side tutorial video covering all the top sides, but this one's going to be specifically working on ledges. In that other video, I covered it on a coping box. So, you know, people were wondering, how do you get your foot in the position of a top sole on the ledge? If you haven't seen it already, go ahead and check out my stretching the top side YouTube video. That covers some of the stretches that you can do on your ankles and your calves and stuff to loosen up and get that mobility in order to do this trick. So here we go. Before the wind comes and gets us, let's get into it. Okay guys, so in my other video I discussed or talked about how people conceptualize top soles. Now I think the reason why we have a lot of we find this trick challenging is because we learn regular grinds first. So when you're doing regular grinds, you learn your sole plate. And so you think of your grinds locking in on the sole plate. And now when somebody introduces top sides to you, you go back to what you know, which is the sole plate. So you're gonna jump up and you're gonna start doing this move. And that's where I think a lot of people struggle with, because the idea of having your ankle in that position is kind of like, how, first off. And then the second thing is, when you miss, if you're jumping up like this, when you miss, you tend to slide over your obstacle, which puts you in a very awkward or dangerous way of falling. As I had said in my previous video, I look at top sides or top soles not so much at the sole frame. I see it on the frame. You know, if you look at the inches of the sole plate versus the inches of the frame, you're working more with the frame. So what does that mean? What do we got to do with that? So what that means is, instead of when you approach and you jump in like this, you're actually going to jump up above your obstacle and land on top of it. You shouldn't have this scary fall. So that's kind of the way I conceptualize a top sole grind. Another thing that really helps on these grinds where they're challenging your body is to practice visualizing these tricks. You know, science shows that if you close your eyes and visualize anything from shooting a basketball to skate tricks, the brain doesn't know the difference between thought and reality. And so by you sitting at home, say you can't get out and skate, but you're really wanting to learn or work on tricks, you can work on stretching and standing in that position, and then you could spend 10 or 15 minutes per day just visualizing the grinds that you want or want to learn. I have a complete notebook that I'll spend, 30 minutes every day in meditation, and I just kind of peek and look over at the tricks that I have written down, and then I just conceptualize and I visualize what that trick would feel like. How does it look? How do I see myself doing this trick? And all of that works the neurology, or the brain part of skating. Then when you get the opportunity to come out and actually practice, you've already done it 1,000 times in your mind, and now it's just a matter of practicing it in reality. So that's something, or a little tip that you could maybe utilize. I definitely utilize it. Every top rollerblader that I've ever had a conversation with about how they do these hammers or these tricks that are just wizardry, they see it in their mind and then they perform it as if it's already done. and it's this magical thing. I think that's all of our goals, you know, is just to get that effortless looking skating in time, and visualization and practicing seeing a trick done in your mind before you get out definitely is a helper. Okay, so let's go ahead and lace up, and I will talk about the way I approach the grind, jumping into the grind, sliding it, and the out. Alright guys, so we're gonna start off here at this nice low ledge. Some people prefer to learn on low obstacles. Topsides is one of those things that I think I prefer a higher obstacle, like knee high. The reason why is if I'm practicing that jump up, see how far it is to sit down? When learning this, if you're missing the grind and jumping properly, you can just sit down so you don't fall if you're jumping properly. Again, if you're jumping wrong, you're gonna jump up and you're gonna miss. And you can tell like your whole body is gonna be like this, right? You're gonna kind of fall over your obstacle in a very awkward way. But if you're jumping straight up and miss, you can sit down. This thing is really low, so I don't know if that's the best, but it is better than falling. So those are the two things that you got to be aware of when learning this trick. Okay, so before we get to the approach, let's just cover getting into the grind. You can find a crack on the ground and just practice standing in this position. The pressure is down again. That's very important when learning topsides. You don't want to just kind of like finesse it down or like not put your energy down. This trick is one of those tricks you really want to be in and down and locked. So spend a little time on a little crack, no pun intended, but go ahead and work on just that downward pressure, switching regular, the same, stand, hold. These are all the types of things that you should be or could be practicing at home, so that way when you get to the skate park, you already know what you're doing. Okay, so step one, the approach. In my soul grind video, I talk about having a arch into the obstacle that you're skating, like such, where you're coming in and out. When I was teaching my son how to do this, I told him, you know, if you watch the way airplane or a jet lands, they don't just come straight at it and land. They circle their approach, or they create this arch into the runway. They come into the runway and then land. And so in the same way, I visualize that as I'm coming up, the approach is coming in, I'm gonna grind, and I'm out. And then if you're left-footed, it's the same. You're gonna come in and out. Now what that does is it teaches you how to stay right next to your obstacle and visualize as you're riding by it what that top sole will look like. Okay, so that's the easy part. The next part is we're going to cover, which is going to be step 2, is the jump. Now in this trick, there is no really stepping up. So you're going to want to practice jumping with 2 feet. On an obstacle like this, it might help just to jump up and over it a couple of times so you can have the confidence that you can jump that high and land. Okay, so now we're at step 2, which is going to be the jump and the lock. When I jump, I bring my knees together and it creates a pop. So maybe practice doing that again. A lot of this stuff you can practice at home. So that way you can break down the fundamentals and learn how to pop. By pop, I mean a straight up and down jump. There's jumping up and then there's jumping out. We're not trying to jump out, because if you jump out at something like this and miss, you're gonna fall with all that momentum. But if you jump up and land down, if you miss, kind of still up and down, you have a chance to put your feet underneath you so you don't fall. So I see it as a jump up above your obstacle and land right on top of it. I don't see it, again, as jumping at it. I don't like that motion. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna practice. If you're not sure and you already know how to back royale, you can jump up a couple back royales, or back side. And what that will do is just get your body associated with jumping at that height before you go on to the top side. Now, without further ado, let's just get into the top side. Okay, so you're gonna approach like you did with the back royale or backside. Come in at that angle, pop, and down. So again, it's a pop and a down motion. You're gonna go down, not this. Really work on that, because it makes a difference on majorly the fall, the miss. So after you've stalled it a couple of times, coming up, notice what I'm doing with my hands. I'm creating a pop with my hands, and I'm keeping my hands on this side of the ledge. That keeps me on the edge. You bring your hands back, you're gonna kind of round out. So after you've stalled the top sole a couple of times, now you can begin to do the grind or the slide. You know, take it easy. Maybe if you're grinding something like this, begin with the last 3 feet of the obstacle. So that way, it's not that long if you're not sure if you can hold the grind for the length of the obstacle. When it comes to holding grinds for the length of the obstacle, especially in topside, speed helps a lot. Now, in order to get speed and hit that confidently, you need to practice stalling. So that way you know you got like a 90% chance of landing it, give or take. That really helps. Once you're on it, locked and sliding, you're just gonna hold that body line, that downward pressure, loosen the knees, and ride. Come off the obstacle's edge. You can jump off of it, 183, different ways of coming out. All right, so let's go ahead and get some slides across this. Okay guys, so the fourth and final step is just coming out. With my right foot, I like to 3 mostly, or come out with a little pop shifty. With my left foot, I like to come out fakie. It just feels really natural. You know, I got my right foot in front of me, and that's the way I skate fakie. So when I come out of that grind, it's just a matter of transferring my weight and boop, I'm gone. All right guys, so that sums up my top sole tutorial. I hope you found it useful. Again, the secret is in practicing outside of the park. Getting that mobility, stretching your ankles and your calves will help you have the mobility to do the trick. Practicing that downward pressure, stalling it at home, that will help you with the confidence to lock the trick. And then when you finally get out to the park, you can start transitioning to doing the trick. You know, if you have any questions or any suggestions on videos that you'd like to see done, feel free to message me at Instagram at Acosta Blades. I've had several individuals send me just little clips of them trying a soul grind or an in-spin soul grind, and you know, I was able to help them through that process through text. So if you're struggling with this, feel free to message me. We here at Aggressive Blades are just about helping our community grow and teaching and learning new tricks and thriving in a safe environment. You know, if we can keep you guys injury free and learning tricks, well, damn, that's a job well done. So yeah, if you haven't already, check out Aggressive Blades on Instagram and Facebook. Give us a like, a follow, and till next time, keep the blade alive, guys.